Yeah, today I would like us to look at critical thinking. Critical thinking as it relates to academic writing. So, this is just like an advice to those who are beginning to write their independent studies or those who are writing their thesis or even those writing dissertation. The first thing to do is pre-writing, what we call pre-writing. Pre-writing. That is what you must have done before you even start. What you must have prepared yourself with before you even start to think about putting something down. So, before writing your paper, think about the issue you want to discuss or you want to address. The first thing, what do you want to write? What do you want to talk about? Yes, you're a student and you have been asked to your project, given a project master or supervisor or advisor. First and foremost, what did you have in mind to write about? Very, very important. Be sure that the paper carries a strong point and purpose. It is not just that you want to write something, but it must be something relevant, something very important, something very, very people will be interested in looking at, in reading, in listening to you. That is the starting point. Particularly when one that your reader will easily understand. Yes, be sure that the paper carries a strong point and purpose, particularly the one that your reader will easily understand. Let me take, for instance, in my own, this is one of my thesis. The concept of peaceful environment enables spirituality. The concept of peaceful environment enables spirituality. First of all, in my own view, I thought that people would like to see the connecting issues, the linkages. Igbo spirituality, what has it to do with the environment? And then what has it to do with peaceful atmosphere? Because if you look at the current things happening in the world today, especially we have so many DBRs and SMYs in Igbo land, native doctors. We would like to know, I would like to research what actually is the issue, pre-colonial Igbo spirituality and today's Igbo spirituality. So that is the point we're saying, that before writing your paper, think about the issue you want to address. Be sure that the paper carries a strong point and purpose. Not just that I'm talking about concept of peaceful environment in Igbo spirituality, but that people would like to listen to me. And people will also see that this thing you are talking about is very important, it's very relevant. And when they listen to you, they will learn something new. So that is the starting point of academic writing. What you have prepared, what you have intended, and what you had in mind ever before even enrolling in the university, especially if you're a master's degree student. What do you have in mind for the first time? Because it's not just to go and enroll for a master's degree student for nothing. You must have had something in mind that you want to give the world. Something must have motivated you before you even started choosing a faculty or department. Now, imagine you finish secondary school. Before you finish secondary school, some of us are motivated with one thing or the other. You want to give to the world. So by the time you finish that particular department, then you are asked to write a project. Then you don't go straight to that which you have been preparing, which has been in your mind. So the first and foremost is, before writing your paper, think about the issue you want to discuss, you want to talk about. Think about it. Then again, be sure that the paper carries a strong point and purpose. There is a meaning to it. Particularly one that your reader will easily understand. These are the things that you have to bear in mind. Now that you have a topic, because when you must have done all this, and then you start thinking about topic. Now that you must have a topic and issue, consider your available resources. Yes, I wanted to write the concept of peaceful environment enables spirituality. The next thing is that where do I get the materials? Where do I get what others have written before? Because I am not, the world didn't start with me today. In addition to your own thinking, there are several articles and other sources of information to help you analyze your ideas. Why is this? Listen to this very clearly. It's very, very important. In addition to your own thinking, there are several articles and other sources of information to help you analyze your ideas. Consider specific examples and events that help to illustrate your point. Remember, we are talking about Western education. So Western education, they believe in respect to someone who may have provided an idea. So in other words, we are talking about spirituality in their own mindset, in their own construct. Someone must have talked about spirituality before. So you have to go and consult the person. You have to go and read what the person has said. Since the person has been accredited, the person may have been recognized by the scholar, by scholars, by the academic community. So you are expected to go and read what he or she must have written. So that's why I said, now that you have a topic and an issue, consider your available resources. Where do you get things that you have to consult? In addition to your own thinking, there are several articles and other sources of information to help you analyze your ideas. Consider specific examples and events that help to illustrate your point. You see that? So it's not just that you have decided to write about the concept of Igbo spirituality, the concept of peaceful environment in Igbo spirituality. But I have to go and read what many people have written about Igbo spirituality. I have to read and go. I have to go and read Chinua Achebe and many people that have written on Igbo spirituality, and then use it as a starting point. Learn their mistakes, then add to your own. That is the most important thing that I want us to know today. And what is it? Before you start writing your academic paper, before writing your paper, think about the issue you want to address. Be sure that the paper carries a strong point and purpose, particularly one that your reader will easily understand. Now that you have topic and issue, consider your available resources. In addition to your own thinking, there are several articles and other sources of information to help you analyze your ideas. Consider specific examples and events that help to illustrate your point. This is very important for everybody who is about to write. We call it pre-writing. Pre-writing. Prepare yourself first. Get ready. Get ready on the point you want to write about. That is very, very important. And it's good that you understand it in this way. I thank you very much for listening to me in this starting point of advice to beginners. Let's end it here. Thank you. So again, we're still on the critical thinking. So the first video, I talked about critical thinking, and I talked about starting with pre-writing. So what do I mean? What do I mean here? What I mean here are questions to ask yourself. Don't forget the last time I said, before writing your paper, think about the issue you want to address. Be sure that the paper carries a strong point and a strong purpose, particularly one that your reader will easily understand. The next thing is that now that you have gotten a topic and an issue, consider your available resources. In addition to your own thinking, there are several articles and other sources of information to help you analyze your ideas. Consider specific examples and events that help to illustrate your point. Now let's get to the question. Questions to ask yourself. If you want to write an academic paper, by the time you get into this form, this is a hard copy. The one you see in the internet is soft copy. This is hard copy. And it has been written. So in this particular one, this is the one for my dissertation. When I was writing it, I wrote about 500 to 600 pages. The university where I graduated my PhD, Assumption University, Thailand, they told me to reduce. But that was because I was writing passionately. about Igbo spirituality. And what's the point? I said environmental values in Igbo spirituality. Come on. I was really, really, really passionate about it. So much so that I kept writing to the point that I submitted 500 to 600 pages and I was advised to reduce it. I ended up reducing it to 247. And as God will have it, when I did another master's degree, I also continued from where I stopped with the ones that had removed, because I would like the idea to be very, very important, and that's let the people know. So, questions to ask yourself: what is the purpose of my paper? What is the argument of my paper? What is the problem that is posed? What question or issues am I trying to address? Let me repeat again for the beginners. When you want to write an academic paper, you are a project, you finish your undergraduate, you are writing a project. Then again, or maybe in your master's degree, you are writing independent studies or you are writing academic, what do you call it, thesis, or even dissertation. The question is, what is the purpose of my paper? Why? Why am I writing? W. Why am I writing? What is the argument of my paper? What am I trying to argue? And what is the problem that is posed? What is the problem of the I am trying to address? I'm trying to solve. There must be a problem before you start writing. So you are trying to solve the problem. What question or issues am I trying to address? This problem that I'm seeing, how complex is the problem? What am I addressing in it? What do I want the world to understand? Which academic contribution? Because all these write-ups are all about giving advice, giving contribution. Just you're trying to give in something. You have seen a problem and you are writing it. You did a research where such problems may have happened before. You did a research where such issues may have taken place before. So you now combined all of them together and now decided to offer a solution based on the gap, because it had happened in this country and it was not solved. It happened in this other country, it has not been solved. And now the problem continues. So you pick the problem and now try to shake the loopholes. And then your paper is just like a new idea, considering this, the goodness of this one and where it didn't work, the goodness of this one and where it didn't work. So now you combine all of them together. That is what your paper is all about, offering a solution. So the first question you have to ask yourself, as I said, what is the purpose of my paper? What is the argument of my paper? What is the problem that is being posed and I'm talking about? What question or issue am I trying to address? What is my point of view? What are some of my ideas that reach beyond the actual plot of the story or issues? What is the purpose of my writing about this issue? And why is it important? I repeat, what is the purpose of my paper? That is what you ask yourself. This paper that I want to write, what is the purpose? What is the argument of my paper? What am I actually arguing? What is the problem that is posed? What is the problem? The problem is causing to the society that I want to look at. What is the question or issues I'm trying to address? What is my point of view? Of course, after every writing, you have to have your recommendation, findings, and discussions depending on the structure of your paper. Why are some of my ideas that reach beyond the actual plot of the story or issue? Why are some of my ideas that reach beyond the actual plot of the story or issue? What is the purpose of my writing about this issue? And why is it important? It's important because I want peace. It's important because I want something better. It's important because life can still move on, because we have to make the life to be comfortable for us. It might be because of a conflict. It might be because of election, vote buying. It might be because of educational system. It might be because of political issues. It might be because of environmental issues. It might be because of family issues or marriage issues. You looked at this marriage, you look at that marriage, and now you decided to come up and say, no, look at what you think might help to husband and wife to stay together for life. So that is what we are trying to say. When you start to write your paper, when you start to write, put it for an academic consideration, before writing your paper, think about the issue you want to address. Be sure that the paper carries strong point and purpose, particularly one that your reader will easily understand. Now that you have a topic and an issue, consider your available resources. In addition to your own thinking, there are several articles and other sources of information to help you analyze your ideas. Consider specific examples and events that help to illustrate your point. The questions are, what is the purpose of my paper? What is the argument of my paper? What is the problem that is posed? What question or issues am I trying to address? What is my viewpoint? Why are some of my ideas that reach beyond the actual plot of story or issue? What is the purpose of my writing about this issue? Why is it important? I don't just start writing, but why is it important? So that is what we have to talk, and then I keep on with this lecture. I believe that you have learned one or two things. Thank you very much. So as we move on, the second stage, after the first stage is the pre-writing, as we said. The second stage will be writing itself. When you must have finished asking yourself all these questions, and when you must have actually gathered within yourself, thinking that you have got a place to start with and what you would like to center on, then the actual writing begins. Choose specific examples, quotes, or statistics from the resources available. Remember to incorporate your own thinking and conclusion to stand as the main argument behind your writing. Sometimes many students, when they start writing, the chapter 1 will be different from chapter 2. Chapter 2 will be different from chapter 3. Chapter 3 will be different from chapter 4. And so conclusion. But the point is that there must be a unity from your chapter 1. What you are saying, your topic itself you have chosen must be united with your everything you are writing in your paper. The essence of your topic, the main reason that you have chosen that particular topic, everybody, anybody, or whoever that is reading your paper, from chapter 1, from chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, must still be listening and then imagining your topic. I give an example, as I said in my dissertation. The concept of peaceful environment in Igbo spirituality. This is my thesis, master's degree thesis. The concept of peaceful environment in Igbo spirituality. What does that mean? So you have to make sure, I have to make sure that from chapter 1 to chapter 5, that I'm still reminding people that I'm defending Igbo spirituality and the concept. For example, chapter 1 will be background and significance of the research. Chapter 2 will be spirituality from African worldviews, because Igbos are inside Africa. They are not disconnected. Then chapter 3 will be Igbo approach to spirituality. You see how I started? From Africa, deductive reasoning. From Africa to Igbos. So chapter 4 will be what? Peace and personhood in Igbo spirituality. Now I started narrowing down to what I intend to. Then chapter 5 with conflict prevention and resolution in Africa. Then chapter 6, appraise the recommendation and conclusion. So whatever that every chapter is talking about must be connected with the concept of peaceful environment in Igbo spirituality. And that is how it is. Choose a specific examples, quotes, and statistics from your resources. Remember to incorporate all your thinking and conclusion to stand as main argument behind your writing. Never assume that you are clever in choosing examples, sources will speak for themselves. Yeah, some students make this mistake that the other person should understand where he or she is driving to. No. It's your duty to make it very clear to your reader. All examples need your introduction and follow-up commentary. Normally, I tell my students that I'm their advisor. I will always tell them start every chapter with introduction. Apart from chapter 1, every chapter with introduction. Introduce what you're about to say, and then conclude what you have said, so that you get connected. Your topic will be united. Your chapters will be coherent with the entire work. Before finishing your rough draft, check the viewpoint of your argument. Make sure you acknowledge the opposing sides of your argument, and then identify their weaknesses to further support your point. So this is what I've been telling students all the time. So it's not a either do or die affair, but the most important thing, there should be a connecting link in all that you are writing. These ideas that you may, I mean, the ideas that you may have in your mind, there must be, all of them, there must be a unity. There must be a unifying kind of situation. That whoever is reading chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, the person is connecting the idea where you're heading to. That is the very, very important aspect. So now, I believe that you must have gotten one or two things here about writing. The actual writing. Actual writing must be what writing is all about. And I do believe that this has actually gotten some points for you. Don't forget, the first thing is pre-writing. Before writing your paper, think about the issue you want to address. Be sure that the paper carries a strong point and purpose, particularly one that your reader will easily understand. Now that you have a topic and an issue, consider your available resources. In addition to your own thinking, there are several articles and other sources of information to help you analyze your ideas. Consider specific examples and events that help to illustrate your point. This is where you start, and that's what called pre-writing. And then in that pre-writing, there are questions. What is the purpose of my paper? What is the argument of my paper? What is the problem that is posed? What question or issues am I trying to address? What is my point of view? What are some of my ideas that reach beyond the actual plot of the story or issue? What is the purpose of my writing and about this issue, and why is it important? Then when you must have finished this one, that is the pre-writing, then the actual writing will tell you, choose specific examples, quotes, or statistics from your resources. Remember to incorporate your own thinking and conclusion to stand as the main argument behind your writing. Never assume that you are cleverly choosing examples, sources will speak for themselves. No, don't assume that the reader must understand. All the examples need your introduction and follow-up commentary. Before finishing your rough draft, check the viewpoint of your argument. Make sure you acknowledge the opposing sides of your argument and then identify their weaknesses to further support your point. Because we are not listening to only what you're saying. Some people have said something against you. Tell us what they said against you. And tell us why they said what they said against you. And then why you think, despite what they said against your viewpoint, that your own stands to be the best. Very, very important. Questions to ask yourself. Why is the statement important? This is because when you are writing, you'll be asking yourself question. What is it saying about my subject matter? That topic that I've chosen. What am I talking about it? Why did I include it in my paper? How does it support my argument? Whatever I must have included in my paper, how does it support my argument? How is this example that I've brought source significance to my paper, whether example or literature or whatever? Are they important to your paper? Can I expand on it or explain it in more depth? Do all my sources have well-developed commentary? Do I introduce all my sources to my reader? And my reader will know where they come from. Have I reached and considered other points of view and identified their strengths and weaknesses? How are my assumptions shaping my point of view? Should I remedy or better justify those assumptions? These are many more are what we ask. Very, very important while you are writing. So I believe that you have learned something from here. You can ask your question in the comment section and then we'll take you through. Thank you very much for paying attention.